Actually, I was really surprised that Trump reacted so quickly. He just flew out of Seoul, just like that. He left. Yes, I mean, they were together in the same room. Xi spent 100 minutes there, with about 20 minutes getting seated. Journalists were present, exchanged smiles, made speeches, then left. Afterward, discussions began. And yes, we spent another 20 minutes at the end deciding when to leave, what to do, and what to say. Yes, well, that's already 40 minutes, right? So that leaves, what, 60 minutes, an hour? That's an hour? That's nothing. Unless everything has already been agreed upon, everything has already been settled, and that's it. You just shake hands. Listen, well, okay, let's do it. All right. So that's why. All right, let's go. It's all good. Let's move. Everyone out. Smile. Be happy. No, we can't even imagine what kind of tectonic shifts are actually happening in China right now. That's why I have a feeling that this was a quick meeting where they decided to do everything they had agreed on before the meeting. So it seems like everything was related to that. This is a powerful earthquake in China, and like a tsunami, it will sweep across the whole world if it really happens or is happening. But there are a lot of, as I've already said twice, and a lot of indirect confirmations that something is happening there. All right, let's go step by step. So a number of Western channels in Chinese, meaning Chinese nationals who, so to speak, are there, host podcasts, broadcasts, and radio in Chinese, they comment. A completely impossible statement for China by a former member of the Politburo of the Communist Party of China Central Committee. As the Communist Party of the Soviet Union and Communist Party of China stated, he was also a vice premier of the People's Republic of China. Such as Wang Yang, he's not exactly retired. He's just, so to speak, among the elders there. There, as they call them, they have a whole group of people who influence politics without holding specific positions. So why is it impossible? I think it's because it contradicts the doctrine that Xi Jinping has been implementing for years. And that's impossible in China. Well, simply impossible. Either there's a change of course, but then why isn't Xi himself the one talking about it, so to speak? There's either a leadership change or Wang Yang is suicidal. There you go. But it's already been 2 days and nothing has happened to him.
The new tone came from Wang Yang, who reportedly said the phrase,
"The negotiations must be successful." Just like China's accession to the World Trade Organization in 2000, the United States is China's largest trading partner and the largest economy in the world. A successful deal will break the deadlock in China's diplomacy, and once it is reached, Europe's problems will resolve themselves.
There are actually two surprising statements in what you just heard. First, we should negotiate, not butt heads with the United States. And second, so affairs in Europe. Well, what are affairs in Europe? Does that mean the war between Russia and Ukraine? So if we reach an agreement with the United States, it will end. But how will it end if China reaches an agreement with the United States? Just one thing. China will stop supporting Russia.
to show goodwill, a sign of goodwill, Beijing resumed purchases of American soybeans and sharply reduced imports of Russian oil. United States Treasury Secretary Bisant called the result a very successful foundation. Trade Representative Greer told Fox News that all three goals of the negotiations in Malaysia were achieved. Beijing abandoned the threat of rare earth metals, gave up the soybean trump card that SMIA used, and agreed to cooperate in controlling fentanyl. In other words, the era of confrontation is over.
But if the era of confrontation with China is coming to an end, well, what about Xi? He's the main fighter against the capitalist monster, the United States of America. Editor, I suspect I know what happened. While Obama and Biden led the United States, Trump was also a natural result. They just waited it out, deciding that he would be removed, and assured China that he would be removed, and he was removed. And that he could be forgotten, they were mistaken. Xi's policy was clearly bearing fruit. He is aggressive. Neither Europe nor the United States responded to his territorial or economic aggression. They bribed everyone they could, handed out money, even sent money to Biden and so on. Everyone made sure they were safe. So we can conduct our own policy absolutely calmly. And then an aggressive leader, so to speak, will achieve results much faster, as they say. Well, here comes Trump 47 on the scene. And everything that Xi built is falling apart. Instead of world dominance, Xi got the unification of suppliers against their own buyers, that is, the consumers of their goods. The United States is China's top market, making up 15% of its exports, down from 18% previously. The European Union is around 8%, and Japan, I'm not counting quarters or tenths. Japan is 5%, England 3%, and South Korea, Australia, and New Zealand add 5%. Losing even the United States market is a catastrophe, and losing 40% of your exports after the United States is bankruptcy. What does bankruptcy mean? That means riots. It could even mean the overthrow of the Communist Party, because in the eyes of the people, the party is the one who brought us to this state. China was waiting to see if the United States could pressure the European Union. And when the European Commission announced that it would stop buying energy resources from Russia, the fate of this matter was decided. Say understood this and tried to create a secret army to capture Beijing. Like Zhukov, who first used one division, then added the Kantemirovskaya division and another whose name I can't recall. He captured Moscow after the murder of Stalin. Some might say the death of Stalin, but it was the murder of Stalin. We know that now. And Beria's agency was destroyed, alongside him, who just intended to take control in the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. Here is what became known about the preparation of this coup against those who were trying to stage a coup against him.
As soon as the fourth plenary session ended last week, Tsai Xia, a former professor at the Central Party School of the CCP who now lives abroad, made an exclusive statement. Xi's two most powerful generals, He Weidong and Miao Hua, secretly created a private army under his command to carry out covert military operations. This was a shocking revelation, to be continued. October 25th, Tsai Xia revealed on the Chinese program Fanfei Time that former director of the Political Work Department Miao Hua and former deputy chairman of the Central Military Commission He Weidong secretly established a military unit in Langfang City, Hebei Province, completely independent from all existing theater commands.
Langfang.
The city in Hebei Province where the unit was based is only 35 to 37 miles from downtown Beijing, less than an hour's drive from Zhongnanhai. What makes this unit unusual is its chain of command. It did not report to any theater of operations, armed forces branch, or regional command. It reported only to Miao Hua and He Weidong and refused to follow orders from any other military institutions. First of all, the purpose of this unit was obvious. It was a personal security force, specially created for Xi by Miao Hua and He Weidong, in essence, Xi's own secret force. Secondly, the generals involved in this could never admit and would never dare to admit that the unit was created by Xi's direct order. That's why the official charges against them, known as the two major violations, are so closely connected to this case. Thirdly, the very existence of this unit proves that Xi no longer had control over the actual military command. If he had been in control, he would never have had to take such measures to secretly create his own forces. Former Navy Lieutenant Commander Yao Chen confirms similar information, claiming that the group was involved in a conspiracy bordering on mutiny within the Secret Security Service.
In a normal communist regime, everyone watches everyone else. And Xi's maneuvers did not go unnoticed by the military leadership.
By the time of the fourth plenary session, almost half of all generals above the main level who were loyal to Xi had already been removed. Now let's go back to what happened right before the fourth plenary session, after Xi's 9 leading generals were removed. The People's Daily published an editorial filled with unusually serious political accusations, each of which carries enormous significance in the party's terminology. In the language of CCP politics, every word in that editorial carried the weight of a hammer. Together, they pointed not to corruption or misconduct, but to something much more serious, a power grab. The editorial accused the fallen generals of losing loyalty and integrity, which is an extremely rare accusation that, in party language, implies betrayal, even desertion. It was also said that they seriously undermined the principle that the party commands the gun, a doctrine from the era of Mao that defines the survival of the Communist Party. To challenge this rule is to challenge the party itself. And finally, they were accused of seriously undermining the system of responsibility of the chairman of the Central Military Commission. Simply put, it was an attempt to seize military power. These three accusations, when considered together, form a single logical chain. The case was never about corruption or greed. It was about an organized attempt to seize control of the party and the army. In this light, Xi's forced departure becomes much more understandable. His secret force, intended to act against Zhang Yuxia and the party elders, was exposed. Almost all the generals he personally promoted were neutralized, and inside the party, the central decision-making and coordination body received direct evidence from the investigation into the death of former Premier Li Keqiang, which reportedly points to Xi and his wife. If this ever comes to light, it will cause the biggest political scandal in the history of the CCP.
And it seems that Save the Party has become the slogan of everyone who wasn't in Xi's inner circle. Because his, if it's true, attempt to seize power would have disrupted the comfortable existence of the elite. To the question, us or Xi, the party answered us. And it seems that Xi has lost influence. I wouldn't be too surprised if his freedom of movement is also restricted. Both he and his wife, who is rumored to act as his fixer behind the backs of legal organizations. Whether that's true or not, we don't know, of course. But Trump, who met with Xi after 100 minutes, as we know, came out. And without any unnecessary talk, he flew away. In an hour, 60 or even 50 minutes, you can accomplish a lot. But then, when they come out, the leaders pat each other on different parts of the body and together explain to the world what cool guys they are. Nothing like that happened. I decided that they didn't agree on anything. But in reality, what the Chinese promised before Xi's arrival is exactly what happened, and Xi's visit changed nothing. It didn't add anything, didn't take anything away, didn't change anything.
In July 2024, during the third plenary session, Xi reportedly suffered a stroke. Zhang Yuxia, supported by the party elders, immediately began to take control of the army. One of Xi's most trusted generals, Miao Hua, was under investigation. By March 2025, Zhang went further by detaining Xi's key military ally, He Weidong, and several other loyalists. From that moment, Xi's control over the military disappeared. In April 2025, when Xi tried to flip the table and resume the global trade confrontation, the elders intervened and stopped him. In May 2025, during his visit to Moscow for the Victory Parade, the elders took their actions. Xi was supposed to resign at the next plenary session. When Xi returned to China, he was quietly sent to the city of Le'an for 2 weeks of reflection. By June 2025, Xi agreed to resign at the 4th plenary session and left Zhongnanhai. The elders then created a new structure, the Central Party Decision-Making and Coordination Body, which effectively stripped the Politburo Standing Committee of real power. In July 2025, Xi refused to schedule a plenary session for August. He was sent to the city of Yangsuan, Shanxi province, so that he could calm down. Premier Li Kang replaced him at the Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa summit in Brazil. At the conference in Baidahe in August, all factions reached a consensus Xi should step down. In September, his military inspection was clear. The report was presented by Lieutenant General Ivan Yan. He began to appear in public as a new face in party affairs. Finally, in October, Beijing officially announced that 9 top generals had been removed from command. The message was clear. The army had completed the process of neutralizing Xi's influence amid internal unrest and mounting external pressure. The 4th plenary session became the perfect moment to formalize Xi's departure. Behind closed doors, the CCP hid the truth. Xi relinquished both party and military power. His position as head of state will remain only symbolic, a ceremonial figurehead to maintain the illusion of continuity. This is black box politics with Chinese characteristics. The political process is so opaque that even many within the system cannot understand where the real power lies. Hu Jintao, who regained influence after Xi's stroke, insists on returning to Deng Xiaoping's pragmatic path. In dealing with Xi's downfall, the elders simply repeated Deng's method. Today, Wang Yang plays the role of Hu Yaobang, quietly guiding party affairs without a title, while Zhang Yuxia and Liu Yuan play the role of Deng Xiaoping, restructuring the political order through military control (C). Now he lives under the care of Hua Guofeng. He is still allowed to meet with foreign dignitaries as the nominal head of state, but he no longer has any real power.
We are not members of the Politburo of the Communist Party of China Central Committee, and of course we don't know exactly what goes on there. The whole truth, yes. But now, one expert after another is saying similar things. An era is coming, they call it the era of Deng Xiaoping, that is the era of reasonable moderation. But we will say that it's still tyranny. There's autocracy there, yes, but at least with the outside world. If everything is like that, as they say, then Gitai will try to live in peace, which will immediately affect oil purchases, let's say, from Russia, on the halt of military and logistical aid in the war in Ukraine, and in the de facto refusal to fight against the dollar, which is also a very important point for Trump. I hope that's the case. And if that's the case, which of course is another result of Donald Trump's policy, then here's what I think. Trump has a great team. Really, Horort, Liudnik, and the other guys. And I think they have thought very seriously, both psychologically and in every other way, about what is happening in China. And I would be very surprised if there was no involvement from the army and those standing behind China, so to speak. A gentle hint from the White House. That's all. Goodbye.